Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? What I'm really curious about, I mean, I know there are people, this feels like one of those really like dark, shady, taboo-ish secrets that you see
Totally.
on like A&E at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I want to talk about a little bit more in depth, like really what is hoarding? What is that element of mental health and why does it impact people the way that it does?
Oh, that's such a great question. This is definitely a soapbox that I'm on. I think the first thing I want people to understand if they feel like they're dealing with it or someone they love, hoarding is a disorder. It's a mental disorder. It's not cute. I see on social media all the time people like, oh, I have such a touch of hoarder in me. I'm like, you don't have a touch of hoarder in you. It is very, I liken it. For a long time, it was sort of thought that hoarding was a symptom of OCD, and now they're realizing it's a standalone. I think it's an anxiety disorder, probably with an addiction component. I know with the hoarders that I worked with and my own father, there's a dopamine hit when they acquire. I got a deal, or for my dad, it was tools and his tools, and he gets something from that. I also think when people have a hoarding disorder, a lot of the accumulation of this stuff is a way to keep everyone else at arm's length, to keep the feelings away. It's the same way that people go and go to the bar for one beer and then they're 8 shots in, or they're overeating. It's a way literally to stuff down your feelings. So I think that people need to understand that there's hoarding, hoarding disorder, and then there's clutter, right? And there's a fine line between the two, but it's pretty clear. And we're so, especially now with the social media, it's this, and it's always been this way with magazines and this idea that we have to have a perfect home. It needs to look a certain way and you have to represent. I come from the space of your home needs to support you, right? It's a place you need to get up and get dressed and make yourself healthy food and sit down and connect with your family at the dinner table. And if there's clutter everywhere and if there's stuff everywhere, that is very difficult to do. If you have to move your clothes off your bed to get into your bed at night to go to sleep, you're not going to get a good night's sleep, right? All this stuff is getting in the way of you being your best self. It's not about a perfect home that looks pretty. Yes, I love beautiful things. I want everyone's home to look beautiful to them, but I want it to work, right? If you have a very messy kitchen, if you have a dirty kitchen, don't do your dishes at night, counters are covered, I will bet real money that in the morning, you're not cooking yourself a healthy breakfast. You're doing the drive-through at McDonald's. You're gonna go get a McCafe and then you're gonna get a Egg McMuffin while you're in there because that space isn't lending itself to you taking care of yourself. So the big component that I want people to understand is that having an organized home, making your bed in the morning, having a closet that's organized isn't about being a right or a good housekeeper or looking perfect. It's about supporting you. And if you were raised in a home that didn't support all that, you also didn't learn how to do that. And I really want people to understand some people aren't natural born housekeepers. Some people aren't naturally organized, but it's a trait, it's a habit you can learn. If you wanted to play violin, you were like, I want to take up violin, you would get a violin teacher. You would you wouldn't beat yourself up that I don't know how to play the violin. So if you're not naturally inclined or you didn't grow up that way, don't beat yourself up, but you can learn these skills. And you brought it up, and I think it's a great way to start. Make your bed every morning.
Yeah.
Make your bed every morning.
Yeah, do it without like beating yourself up. I think one of the things that I found most interesting in my journey, I mean, I remember being 21, 22, and my life was pretty chaotic. And my bedroom was a disaster. My house was a disaster. It'd be weird because I would clean, right? And you would clean for hours. And then in like 5 minutes, everything's a disaster again. And I'm like, really, what the fuck is actually happening right now? And what I realized is, and this took a while to sit in, to come to realization and really going through the depths of this idea that I always contend with is causation and correlation. Where I landed, and this is me personally, is, oh, my house being a wreck, my kitchen being a disaster, is indicative of the way that I was treated growing up. And I'm simply punishing myself in the same way that they punished me, but subconsciously. And the only way you get through that is literally one step at a time. And it became this thing where, I mean, I would battle myself, right? And it was like, oh, you can't throw that shirt away. You might need it one day. You can't do this. You might have to have it. And I realized there's actually nothing that you will ever own that's going to make you love yourself.
Oh no. No, that's the statement of that is the thesis of the new book, Make Space for Happiness. There's nothing that you own that is going to fix what's going on with you. I promise you.
So how do you actually get to that though? Because that's not marketing, that's not advertising, that's not branding, that's not social media, that's not 99.9% of the content we see in the world. None of that's true, because every time we drive down the street and we see the guy in the Porsche, we go, oh man, I'm such a loser.
It's so interesting. So I, being based in Los Angeles, I have a lot of celebrity clients, lots and lots and lots and lots. And I can tell everybody out there, they are no happier, probably some of them less, because they have all the trapping. Their problems don't go away. They're not, it doesn't, that Gucci purse, those red bottom shoes, they don't fix anything. And that's the conversation that I'm starting in this second book, in Make Space for Happiness, is the idea, we've been talking about decluttering for about 10 years now. Magazines, my first book, everything, it was great. But all of a sudden, people declutter and then it comes back. And so what I want to talk about is that the upstream start of clutter, that clutter starts from you buying, from you accumulating, from you, consuming, and that we need to realize that that that's not going to fix it. I actually call them clutter magnets. I call them these little like holes inside of ourselves that we are trying to fill with this stuff. So, for instance, if you feel like I see this with grandparents all the time. They feel guilty, or parents who work a lot feel guilty that they're not spending as much time with their kids. So they buy every toy the kid ever wants. Every trip to the grocery store is a new Lego set. And so these kids have all these toys and they're still having the same problems and they're still having the same issues. And what the kid really likes, kids, they'll play with the box, give them a cardboard box, and these parents are overcompensating by trying to buy their love and buy their way out of their guilt. And it's not fixing anything. So I'm not saying don't shop. I'm not saying you're never going to want a new squeaky clean pair of tennies. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying we need to understand and be accountable that what we're bringing into our lives, in the same way what we put in our mouths and if we go to the gym or not go, that has a holistic effect on our whole life. And so I, like you, yes, we're being marketed to all the time. In the old days, when I was a kid, there were 3 channels, right? You knew what time the commercials came on. You knew that was a commercial. Now with social media and everything, you're being marketed to, realizing, oh, this is what this is. This actually isn't gonna fix my problems. If I see the word anti-aging one more time, I'm going to pitch myself like into my hot tub. There's no anti-aging. We're aging every day. It's the process. Like, yes, can you moisturize, wear sunscreen, take care of yourself? Of course. But you're not gonna not age. And so we're being sold this idea that our natural journey is somehow bad.